Have you ever wondered what Islam truly stands for? What are its core beliefs, practices, and unique insights that have captivated the hearts of over 1.8 billion people worldwide? In this video, we bring you 30 fascinating facts about Islam, a journey into the essence of this profound way of life. This presentation is inspired by the incredible work of Islam on Demand and their comprehensive guide, 30 Facts About Islam. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to them for making this knowledge accessible to the world. Whether you're a Muslim seeking deeper understanding or someone curious about Islam, this video is for you. Stay tuned until the end for facts that will inspire, educate, and leave you in awe. Let's dive in. Let's dive. Fact 1. The meaning of Islam. Islam means surrender or submission. Salam, which means peace, is the root word of Islam. In a religious context, the word Islam means the surrendering of one's will, without compulsion, to the true will of God in an effort to achieve peace. Fact 2. The definition of a Muslim means anyone or anything that surrenders itself to the true will of God. By this definition, everything in nature, trees, animals, planets, etc., are Muslims because they are in a state of surrender to God's will. In other words, they are fulfilling the purpose for which God created them. Fact 3. Islam's universal roots. Islam is not a new religion or cult. It is a universal way of life and civilization. Studies show that between 1.5 and 1.8 billion people in the world identify their religion as Islam. Along with Judaism and Christianity, it traces its roots through Prophet Abraham and back to the first humans, Adam and Eve. Fact 4. The 5 pillars of Islam. There are 5 pillars of practice in Islam. These practices must be undertaken with the best of effort in order to be considered a true Muslim. A. Declaration of faith, a statement proclaiming the belief in one God and that Muhammad is a prophet of God. To become Muslim, a person simply recites this statement publicly and in Arabic. B. Formal prayer 5 times a day. C. Poor due tax, 2.5% of one's excess wealth given to the needy once a year. D. Fasting during the daylight hours in the month of Ramadan. E. Pilgrimage to Mecca at least once if physically and financially able. Fact 5. The 6 Articles of Faith. There are 6 Articles of Faith in Islam. These are the basic beliefs that one must have in order to be considered a true Muslim. They are belief in A. The one God. B. All of the true prophets of God. C. The original scriptures revealed to Moses, David, Jesus, and Muhammad. D. The angels. E. The day of judgment and the hereafter. F. Destiny. Fact 6. The name Allah. Muslims believe in the one creator of the universe, referring to him as Allah, which is the Arabic word for God. Muslims worldwide, even English-speaking Muslims, frequently use the Arabic word Allah because Arabic is the language of the Qur'an. But Allah is no different than the God of Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. The Creator is the Creator regardless of what people call him. In the English language, he is most commonly referred to as God. Yet Jesus spoke a different language, referring to God as Eloi in Mark 15:34 of the New Testament. Are God and Eloi different gods? Many Hispanics call God Dios and many French say Dieu. It would logically follow then that people who refer to God as Allah in the Arabic language are referring to the very same God. In fact, many Arab Jews and Arab Christians call God Allah, and the word Allah is written in Arabic script on the walls of many Arab churches and on the pages of Arabic Bibles. So, while the understanding of God may differ between faith groups, the various names used to describe him do not change the fact that the one creator of the universe is the God of all people. Fact 7. God's nature in Islam. The Islamic concept of God is that he is loving, merciful, and compassionate. Islam also teaches that he is all-knowing and the perfect judge of affairs and will punish or forgive accordingly. However, Allah once said to Muhammad, "My mercy prevails over my wrath." So Islam teaches a balance between fear and hope, protecting one from both complacency and despair. Fact 8. The 99 names of Allah. Muslims believe that God has revealed 99 of his names or attributes in the Qur'an. It is through these names that one can come to know the Creator. A few of these names are the All-Merciful, the All-Knower, the Protector, the Provider, the Near, the First, the Last, the Hidden, and the Source of all peace. Fact 9. Accountability on Judgment Day. The Christian concept of vicarious atonement, the idea that Jesus died for the sins of humanity, is alien to the Islamic concept of personal responsibility. Islam teaches that on the Day of Judgment, every person will be resurrected and will be accountable to God for their every word and deed. Consequently, a practicing Muslim is always striving to be righteous while hoping and praying for God's acceptance and grace. Fact 10. Belief in all prophets. Muslims believe in all of the true prophets that preceded Muhammad, from Adam to Jesus. Muslims believe they brought the same message of voluntarily surrendering to God's will, Islam in a generic sense, to different peoples at different times. Muslims also believe they were Muslims, again in a generic sense, since they followed God's true guidance and surrendered their will to Him. Fact 11. Worship of Allah. Alone Muslims neither worship Muhammad nor pray through him. Muslims worship the unseen, omniscient Creator, Allah. Fact 12. Acceptance of previous scriptures. Muslims accept the original unaltered Torah as revealed to Moses, and the original unaltered Bible as revealed to Jesus, since they were revealed by God. But none of these scriptures exist today in their original form or in their entirety. Therefore, Muslims follow the subsequent, final, and preserved revelation of God, the Qur'an. Fact 13. The authorship of the Qur'an. The Qur'an was not authored by Muhammad. It was authored by God, revealed to Muhammad through Angel Gabriel, and written into physical form by his companions. Fact 14. The originality of the Qur'an. The original Arabic text of the Qur'an contains no flaws or contradictions, and has not been altered since its revelation. Fact 15. Preservation of the Qur'an. Actual 7th century Qur'ans, complete and intact, are on display in museums in Turkey and other places around the world. Fact 16. Memorization of the Qur'an. If all Qur'ans in the world today were destroyed, the original Arabic would still remain. This is because millions of Muslims called Hafiz, or guardians, have memorized the text letter for letter from beginning to end, every word and every syllable. Also, chapters from the Qur'an are precisely recited from memory in each of the 5 formal prayers performed daily by hundreds of millions of Muslims throughout the world. Fact 17. Sharia as a way of life. Sharia is the law that regulates the daily life of a Muslim and serves as a guide for living by Islamic principles. As Islam is not only a belief system but a complete way of life, the law covers all aspects of living, including moral, spiritual, intellectual, physical, economical, and political matters. Sharia law is derived by scholars through interpretations of Islam's canonical texts, the Qur'an and Hadith, sayings and actions of Muhammad. As with any legal system, the interpretations can range across the liberal-conservative spectrum, and opinions on the meanings and applications will often differ. Therefore, Sharia law is essentially an effort to comprehend God's instructions and apply them in daily life. Since the interpretations are made by humans, they are subject to error and even perversion. This occurs when unqualified, ignorant, or corrupted individuals make the interpretation. For instance, the KKK perverts Christian texts to conjure up false rulings. The same can be said for certain Muslim groups in so-called Islamic states regarding Islamic texts. While there is no pope in Islam to serve as the authoritative interpreter, there are recognized institutions and scholars who analyze, discuss, deliberate, and arrive at reasonable rulings through a process known as fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence. This nuanced and sophisticated science operates on the premise that the Islamic texts are fluid and dynamic. that anything outside of the very basic tenets can and should be interpreted according to the particular time, place, and culture. So, if any version of Sharia advocates brutality, injustice, extremism, terrorism, etc., the question must be asked, are such rulings endorsed by mainstream Islamic scholars, or are they being posited by those devoid of a true understanding of the religion or the wisdom to apply it? Fact 18. No compulsion in religion. Some attribute the early and rapid spread of Islam to forced conversions by the sword. While it is accurate that the Muslim empire initially spread, for the most part, through battles and conquests, a common phenomenon for that time, the religion of Islam itself was never forced on anyone who found themselves living under Muslim rule. In fact, non-Muslims were afforded the right to worship as they pleased as long as a tax, called jizya, was paid. During the Dark Ages, Jews, Christians, and others were given protection by the Muslims from religious persecutions happening in Europe. Islam teaches no compulsion in religion. Qur'an 2:256 and 1099. For more, read The Spread of Islam in the World by Thomas Arnold. Fact 19. Islam condemns terrorism. Terrorism, unjustified violence, and the killing of non-combatant civilians, and even intimidating, threatening, or injuring them, are all absolutely forbidden in Islam. Islam is a way of life that is meant to bring peace to a society, whether its people are Muslim or not. The extreme actions of those who claim to be Muslim may be a result of their ignorance, frustration, uncontrolled anger, or political, not religious, ambitions. Anyone who condones or commits an act of terrorism in the name of Islam is simply not following Islam and is, in fact, violating its very tenets. These people are individuals with their own personal views and agendas. Fanatical Muslims are no more representative of the true teachings of Islam than fanatical Christians are of the true teachings of Christianity, or fanatical Jews are of the true teachings of Judaism. The most prominent examples of such religious fanatics are Anders Behring Breivik, the 2011 Norwegian terrorist who claimed in his manifesto to be 100% Christian, and Baruch Goldstein, perpetrator of the 1994 Hebron massacre, who is considered by some Jews to be a hero and a saint. Extremism and fanaticism are problems not exclusive to Muslims. Anyone who thinks that all Muslims are terrorists should note that terror groups like ISIS or ISIL, Al-Qaeda, and Boko Haram kill Muslims as well. Also, the former boxer Muhammad Ali, perhaps the most celebrated person of our era, was a practicing Muslim. Fact 20. The meaning of jihad. The word jihad does not mean holy war. It actually means to struggle or to strive. In a religious context, it means the struggle to successfully surrender one's will to the will of God. Some Muslims may say they are going for jihad when fighting in a war to defend themselves or others, but they say this because they are conceding that it will be a tremendous struggle. But there are many other forms of jihad which are much more relevant to the everyday life of a Muslim, such as the struggles against laziness, arrogance, stinginess, one's own ego, or the struggle against a tyrant ruler or against the temptations of Satan, etc. Regarding the so-called verses of holy war in the Qur'an, 2 points. A. The term holy war neither appears in the Arabic text of the Qur'an nor in any classical teachings of Islam. B. The vast majority of verses in the Qur'an pertaining to violence refer to wartime situations in which Muslims were permitted to defend themselves against violent aggression. Any rational intellectual analysis of the context and historical circumstances surrounding such verses, often ignored by pundits or violent extremists, proves this to be true. Other verses of violence deal with stopping oppression, capital punishment, and the like. Fact 21. Women's rights in Islam. Women are not oppressed in Islam. Any Muslim man that oppresses a woman is not following Islam. Among the many teachings of Muhammad that protected the rights and dignity of women is his saying, "The best among you are those who treat their wives well." Fact 22. Rights granted to women in Islam. Islam grants women many rights in the home and in society. Among them are the right to earn money, to financial support, to own property, to an education, to an inheritance, to being treated kindly, to vote, to a bridal gift, to keep their maiden name, to worship in a mosque, to a divorce, and so on. Fact 23. Modesty and the hijab. Muslim women wear the head covering hijab in fulfillment of God's decree to dress modestly. This type of modest dress has been worn by religious women throughout time, such as traditional Catholic nuns, Mother Teresa, and the Virgin Mary. Fact 24. Forced marriages are forbidden in Islam. Forced marriages, honor killings, female genital mutilation, and the confinement of women to their homes are all forbidden in Islam. These practices stem from deeply entrenched cultural traditions and/or ignorance of the true Islamic teachings, or how to apply them in society. Arranged marriages are allowed in Islam but are not required. In fact, one of the conditions for a valid Islamic marriage contract is the mutual consent of both parties to the marriage. And divorce is permissible provided the Islamic guidelines are followed, which protect the rights of all affected parties, especially women and unborn children. Fact 25. Islam and the Nation of Islam are different. Islam and the Nation of Islam are two different religions. Islam is a religion for all races and enjoins the worship of the one unseen God who never took human form. On the other hand, the Nation is a movement geared toward non-whites that teaches God appeared as a man named Fard Muhammad, and that Elijah Muhammad was a prophet. According to Orthodox Islam, these are blasphemous beliefs that contradict the basic theology defined throughout the Qur'an and other authentic texts. The followers of the Nation adhere to some Islamic principles that are mixed with other practices and beliefs completely alien to authentic Islamic teachings. To better understand the differences, read about Malcolm X, his pilgrimage to Mecca, and his later comments to the media. Islam teaches equality amongst the races. Quran 49:13. Fact 26. Diversity among Muslims. All Muslims are not Arab, Middle Eastern, or of African descent. Islam is a universal religion and way of life that includes followers from all races. There are Muslims in and from virtually every country in the world. Arabs only constitute about 20% of Muslims worldwide. The countries with the largest Muslim populations are not located in the Middle East. They are Indonesia, over 200 million Muslims, and Pakistan and India, over 350 million Muslims combined. Fact 27. Facing the Kaaba in prayer. In the 5 daily prayers, Muslims face the Kaaba in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It is a cube-shaped stone structure that was built by Prophet Abraham and his son Ishmael on the same foundations where Prophet Adam is believed to have built a sanctuary for the worship of the one God. Muslims do not worship the Kaaba. It serves as a focal point for Muslims around the world, unifying them in worship and symbolizing their common belief, spiritual focus, and direction. Interestingly, the inside of the Kaaba is empty. Fact 28. The significance of Hajj. The Hajj is an annual pilgrimage to the Kaaba made by about 3 million Muslims from all corners of the earth. It is performed to fulfill one of the pillars of Islam. The rituals of Hajj commemorate the struggles of Abraham, his wife Hagar, and their son Ishmael in surrendering their wills to God. Fact 29. Islam as the fastest growing religion. Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world today. Conversions are a major factor, but natural growth is the main reason. Statistically, Muslim women have the highest fertility rates in the world. According to the Pew Research Center, by the year 2050, Muslims will equal the number of Christians for the first time in history. Currently, the most popular name in the world is Muhammad. And perhaps most interesting is the fact that Muhammad, alternate spellings included, is the most popular name for newborn boys in England and Wales. Fact 30. Contributions of Muslim scholars. Over the past 1,400 years, Muslim intellects have made substantial contributions in the areas of physics, medicine, mathematics, chemistry, astronomy, philosophy, and geography. At no time was this more evident than in the Middle Ages, a period commonly referred to as the Golden Age of Islam. It produced such luminaries as Jabir ibn Hayyan, considered the father of early chemistry, Al-Khwarizmi, one of the fathers of algebra, Al-Zahrawi, a father of surgery, Al-Razi, father of pediatrics, Ibn Sina, one of the greatest medical scholars in history, Jabir ibn Afla, promoter of trigonometry in Europe, Ibn Rushd, reviver of Aristotle, and Ibn Khaldun, a father of modern sociology, historiography, demography, and economics, to name only a few. Their contributions ultimately helped to usher in the European Renaissance. This influence on Western civilization is recognized in a mural painted in the 1890s on the ceiling of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. Islam is included along with England, France, America, Greece, Rome, and others in a depiction of the evolution of civilization. Thank you for joining us in exploring these 30 enlightening facts about Islam. We hope this presentation has deepened your understanding and appreciation of the faith. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring and educational videos. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Credits. This content is based on 30 Facts About Islam by Islam On Demand. For more information, visit www.30factsaboutislam.com.